everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Divorced Woman's Guide podcast. How are you doing today? Happy whatever day it is of the week for you. For me, it is Tuesday that I am recording this episode. And I want to talk to you guys today about something that has been trending in a lot of the calls that I have been having with people who have been reaching out, needing support. And that topic has to do with whether or not divorce is the right option or not. And I wanted to share with you guys some of the tips and some of the signs that I share with people who I jump on calls with to help support them in their process. And many times too, I also coach them through and help them to navigate creating the best decision for them. And I want to just let you guys also know that for me, and I've said this in past episodes, for me, it's really about, I'm pro happy, peace, love, whatever that looks like for you. I am pro living your best life. And that is a decision that each and every one of you gets to make for yourselves. That is not something that anybody else gets to decide for you. However, having been through and down this path myself, I know what the warning signs look like because I was there. And I am the type of person who typically needs a 2x4 from the universe to whack me upside the head for me to finally listen. And all these signs that I'm going to share with you guys today were definitely prevalent in my marriage. And while we were fighting through and, fighting through meaning that we were in couples therapy and we were really trying to work on our marriage, at least I can vouch for that on my side. It wound up that divorce was the best option for me. And so I want to share what some of those signs were with you all so that somebody out there is either wondering if divorce is the right option or if perhaps you have said the words and you're starting to doubt yourself, perhaps this episode will help. And then for those of you who are already in it and still playing the game of, well, what if, perhaps some of these signs will also support you in wherever it is that you are in your journey. So the first and foremost sign that I always say is that ask yourself the following question, okay? And be honest with yourself because nobody else is around you listening right now. Are you truly happy? Are you happy in the marriage? Have you truly been happy, fulfilled, joyful while you've been married? And happiness is something that is created through external sources, right? So being in a marriage with somebody is an opportunity for you to create happiness as a couple. So ask yourself, were you happy? Are you happy? Do you wake up every morning being thankful that you are with this person? Do you come skipping through the door on your way home from work and you cannot wait to be in this person's presence or to share with them about your day? What does happy mean to you? And is that something that you currently have in your relationship, in your marriage? Was it something you had? Because I can tell you guys that I pretended to be happy. I wasn't happy. And unless, I was also in a marriage where I saw his reflection as the emotion that I got to feel. And so if he was happy, I was happy. If he wasn't happy, I wasn't happy. And so it took me some time to really separate and understand what that truly meant. So I invite each of you to really get clear right now on what happiness looks like, what it means, what it feels like. And do you currently have that in your relationship or did you have that in your marriage? Okay, that's sign number one. Sign number two is think about your interactions with your spouse, with your ex, and ask yourself, are more of them negatively charged than positive? Do you find that you are fighting and fighting unfairly? Do you find yourself raising your voice, not listening, and just hoping to say things in a more negative way, hoping that you will be heard? Because that is the sign of what is number three, which is that there isn't good communication happening in your relationship, in your marriage. And that was something that I was definitely guilty of. I know that, I was in a marriage where communication was not either one of our strong suits. It wasn't something that I necessarily was taught as I was growing up. It was something that I learned over time. Honestly, it was something I really had to learn at the age of 40, is to really learn what being a good communicator looks like. And you guys, I have a little secret to share with you about that. Okay. The secret to being a good communicator is actually being a good listener. And I never understood that until I got divorced. I noticed that I was speaking to be heard. I was listening, waiting for a break to be able to insert my voice. Or even there were times where I wasn't waiting for a break and I was just asserting my voice. And the best thing that we can do to become better communicators is to listen. So are you in a relationship? Were you in a marriage where you felt supported, where you felt listened to, where you feel like you are being a good listener, where you feel you are being supported, and as a result are able to create healthy communication where you can talk about anything? That doesn't mean that there isn't a little bit of discomfort and fear about bringing up a topic. But what's more important is, do you feel comfortable and trusting that whatever it is that you want to talk about, that you can do so in a safe place, that you can do so with somebody who's going to hear you? Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4, how many of you guys find ways to kind of avoid having to talk or having to be in the same room as your partner? Now, I can tell you that there were signs in my marriage where there would be less communication and there would be a whole lot of Netflix binging, TV watching, catching up, work that had to get done. You guys know what I'm talking about. So think about it. Are you in a position where you are thinking about ways to actually avoid the person that you are in a relationship with, that you are in a marriage with? Is it somebody that, were you guys ever in that place? Did you notice towards the end that you guys were better? This is number 5, that you guys felt like you were better roommates. That to me means that there was a lack of intimacy. Okay. And intimacy doesn't just mean sex, you guys. Intimacy means connection. It's true connection. There was a point in time where I felt like we were roommates. I mean, it's like, especially when you have kids, when we separated, our kids were 7 and 10, and those early years, you just are in survival mode, right? How many of you know what I'm talking about? Where it's like, you're just, the kids wake up and you're trying to get through the day until they go to sleep. And then when they go to sleep, you are exhausted. And the last thing that you want to do is talk more, right? Except that that's something that shouldn't feel like something heavy. It shouldn't feel like a burden. It should feel like something that you are excited to, have adult time and to have communication with one another, to build intimacy with one another around your days, to have that deep connection, because I can tell you guys that definitely was lacking. And after having thought about all these signs, I knew that divorce was the best option for me, even in days where, I still wonder, right? Like, how many of you guys go back and go, well, I wonder if we had worked, differently, or if we had done this differently, where we would be today. And you guys, regardless of that, I believe that people come in and out of our lives for a reason, and that also includes your spouse, and as I've said in other episodes, I would much, much rather my children be in a home where they see parents connecting, where they see parents communicating in a healthy way versus arguing, being in, being out with their dad and I and feeling positive energy, happiness and joy and, desire to be together. And listen, it's not to say that I didn't enjoy being around my ex-husband or that we didn't have fun times with our kids, but I can tell you, behind closed doors, life looked very, very different. And so what I want today's episode to really help you with, wherever it is that you are, is that if any of those signals are present in your relationship or were present in your marriage, I think that it's really important that you, number one, you get really honest with yourself And number two, that you get really honest with your spouse. And if that is a conversation that you believe is able to take place, if that is a conversation that you think that you can have, and sometimes that conversation gets to happen with, a therapist or a counselor in the room, by all means, set up time and determine if that's the right path for you. But what I can tell you guys is that if these signals are prevalent in your marriage, if they were, then the sooner you face this, the sooner you accept, the sooner you start your healing process, the better chances that you have for there to be a more amicable relationship. Now, that doesn't always mean it happens right away, you guys, but there is a better chance of that happening, because otherwise you're going to head down the path of resentment and destruction. And none of that is healthy for you, first and foremost. And none of that is healthy if you have kids, guys. We have to remember that our kids, for those of you who have kids, are kind of that collateral damage. And, there just comes a point in time where living like that is just not fair to anybody anymore. And again, it's better for your kids. It's better for you to be in a happy relationship or to be in a happy home, to be single, than to stay and be miserable and to have that negative cloud that's constantly following you guys around. So I hope that today's episode supported you wherever it is that you are in your process. Perhaps it confirmed your decision. Perhaps some of you are starting to question your decision one way or another. I always love hearing your feedback on all of my episodes. So please feel free to share with me whatever it is that comes up for you. You're always welcome to email me at wendy@wendysterling.net. You're also welcome to join my Facebook community, the Divorce Rehab. I would love to see you guys there. Also keep an eye out in that Divorce Rehab community on Facebook. That's where I share all of my announcements. And if you guys are looking to get on my email list, that's where I also announce things first and foremost, gives you, first time access to a lot of my content and events that I have coming up. Join my email list. You can join by going to my website at wendysterling.net. I hope that you guys have a beautiful rest of your day. Sending you tons of love, light, and joy as always. Mwah. Bye, everybody.